All right. Well, let's move into our next team because I'm going to give you something that I think we can disagree on.
Okay.
CJ Stroud. So we're going to talk about the Houston Texans that we're moving into right now. I think CJ Stroud was a great college prospect and a great draft prospect. But there's the nature versus nurture argument. I think he's already a bust because of where he ended up. Corey, thoughts?
Oh, man, it's so tough. So before the Anthony Richardson kind of revelation where he suddenly was inflated into the news, into the stratosphere of being this top of the first round drafted guy, way back when, I was a CJ Stroud number one QB coming into this class guy. And it's so tough to get off of that pedestal because I was so ingrained into it. But yeah, it's really tough, man. The Texans are a really, really bad spot. I mean, they get a little bit of a revitalization with D'Amico Ryans coming in there to be the coach. I think he's a good defensive coach. I think that's nice for them. But just look at the landscape, man. How good does CJ Stroud have to be to make his supporting cast work in his favor? I think he has to work really, really, really hard to make those guys shine because they're all kind of meh. Like every single one of them is either meh or they're below average. It's Robert Woods as their like incumbent number one wide receiver, his first year on that team, which is also scary for like a 31-year-old wide receiver that just tore his ACL. That's scary. It's going to be a really uphill battle for CJ Stroud. It definitely sucks, man, because I really liked him. Like you said, I think he was a great prospect. He was my number one QB before I got hooked on Anthony Richardson. But I just don't see a world where he's not going to flounder on a just suffering Texans team. It sucks to see, but it would be really surprising to see him excel this year.
Yeah, I think there's no world where he finishes as a top 12 quarterback.
Mm-mm.
And there's likely no world where he finishes as a top 18 to 24 quarterback. I think he's just stuck in the 24 to 32 range. He's going to be a streamer. He's going to be a bye week fill-in. He's going to be a super flex Hail Mary play. It's tough for him, but when we talk about him, it can't go without mentioning who you said his number one wide receiver is maybe Robert Woods. Like, do you think there's any hope for Tank Dell? Do you think there's any hope for John Mechie? Do you think there's any hope for Xavier Hutchinson? Like, who is the number one wide receiver in this offense?
John Mechie is the only one that I'm like a little intrigued by, just because he was drafted highly and he obviously lost a year, but he looked pretty good in college, and then obviously suffers a bad stroke of luck getting cancer. That's no good. If he can come back from cancer, we've seen cancer survivors come in and rock the world. But
shout out to James Conner.
We are a James Conner podcast here, apparently. But and look, I'm rooting for John Mechie. I really do like the kid, and I think it would be great to see him come out there. But we're talking about maybe John Mechie and then a bunch of nothing, because I don't think Tank Dell is going to excel in an NFL level. I think he's too small, too slow, doesn't have it. Xavier Hutchinson, taken in the 6th round, don't have a lot of hope. Robert Woods, basically 1 foot in the grave right now, being 30-something years old. So, yeah, man, it's a tough scene. I think they're really going to go the D'Amico Ryans credential here is he's going to take a lot from the 49ers playbook, and he's going to pound the rock. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of Dameon Pierce. I think they're going to run him into the ground. And when the wheels fall off of Pierce, I think they're going to get Singletary in there. And it's just going to be a litany. I mean, I think they still have, like, Rex Burkhead. I think they have 1 million RBs on the team.
I don't care if they have Rex Burkhead. I don't care if they have, what was his name, Dare Ogunbowale. Like,
Dare Ogunbowale. You respect that name?
I feel like I thought I nailed it. I'm sorry. Shout out Dare, whatever your name is. Love you. Between Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary, who is going to score more PPR points, or are both of them just going to be such a wash on a bad offense that it's not worth even drafting?
Oh, I think it's going to be clearly Dameon Pierce, and I don't think he's worth drafting. So kind of both things that you said. I think it's going to be clearly Dameon Pierce gets the majority of everything, and he's still not going to be worth having on you, especially where you have to draft him. I don't like it. Not into it. I think he's going to be replaced next year, most likely. So yeah, I mean, just to briefly say, when you ask me who the number one receiver is, if we're not talking pure wide receiver, and this is disgusting, I think it's Dalton Schultz, and I'm not happy about it. It doesn't excite me because I don't think Dalton Schultz is that good.
I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Yeah,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
that's the right reaction to have. It's gross, and I hate it, and it's probably true, and I still don't think it's going to be worth a lot.
That's absolutely brutal. So tight end stink, receiver stink, running back.
Do you want to take a shot of sunshine here and get to your boy?